Oops. Let's go back. This
Take
okay.
a look at this. This is the ancient hieroglyphics. And if you look at the arrow, these are images of slaves. And in Egypt, they, as reporters, they would put stuff on walls and just, there's always been a storyteller, someone to retain the stories for history purposes. So if you look at these images and see where the arrow is, can anybody tell me what that looks like? It looks like dreadlocks. And we can argue about it and say maybe it's braids. I mean, those are images of slaves back during that time. So if that be the case, then could this be linked to us today? And if that one didn't get you, this one is a little more in color. You have the slaves, you have the taskmaster, and notice one is down while he's after the next. And actually, this would tell you a story. I'm not that good in the pictures because I kind of just see what I want and try to grab it. But I've done this with Native American before and looked at the pictures and I studied them out. And when I studied them, I saw that it was telling me a story about history in pictures. And it would be something like this. But I didn't have enough of these to really tell me a story. But if you look at it, basically we speak in gestures as well. We always, our hands are going. So as I started looking at the pictures, I noticed that it was telling me something. That there was a boss, and he was giving orders, and things happened, and then people were hunting, and I'm speaking of the Native Americans now, because I looked at that one a little longer and saw more pictures. And I saw their type of living where they were fishermen, because you can see them fishing, you see them building huts, and different things. So it's telling stories about their lifestyle. So this is telling us a story about enslavement. And if we had a few more, we can put together some information just on the reporter, what he left for us. And these are Hebrew slaves, actually.
Native Americans, 73 AD. At first, colonialists or colonists in Portuguese and Spanish colonies preferred to use natives as slaves, but the natives were originally fishermen and hunters. Physically, they were not suitable for heavy labor. The work was predominantly in salt and silver mines and in agriculture. Many of the natives died from exhaustion, malnourishment, ill treatment, or old world diseases such as smallpox and measles. Others preferred to commit suicide rather than to live the inhumane life that was forced on them by Spanish colonists. When possible, the native slaves tried to escape to the impenetrable inlands.
66 AD is when they took the first of the land of Israel. Right now we're coming post Yeshua. He has come, and I started 4,000 years before him, and some things midway, 1,500 years basically out. And now this is right after Yeshua, some 40 years, a little more than 40 years. Yeshua spoke to Israel and said, if you suffer with me, you'll also reign with me. And although they sacrificed him, he was the sacrificial lamb, he said, if you suffer with me, you'll also reign with me. And in that I found something a little deeper meaning there. They didn't understand it, but I think I understand it now. That although I am the sacrifice, if you suffer with me later in my kingdom to come, you'll also reign with me. They had no clue that they were sacrificing the lamb, and they would be dispersed in less than 40 years. Less than 40 years. And as they were dispersed, it wasn't pretty because they were demolished in every kind of way. We've all heard stories of the early Christians who were fed to the lions. They had the Colosseums, and they would do all kind of things, and we know about the history. So, but all of this started now. Daniel spoke of the 70-week prophecy. There's a lot to that, but I'll just mention that year 70 AD, knock off those three. 70 AD, it came to fruition. But the first part, which Yeshua spoke of, would be, Daniel spoke of, would be in the 69th week, the Messiah would suffer. And then in that 1 week left, which is 7 days, there's a 3.5 period there, which still pertains to the time we're getting ready to go in now, actually, which is a 7-year period of trouble. It's known as the time of Jacob's trouble. In the halfway point, the temple would come to the temple sacrifices would come to an abrupt stop. That happened. And then at the 7-year mark, or the 7th day mark, the temple itself and Israel was burnt down. But that started in the year 66 AD. This is why I went back to that. So in the year 66 AD, they landed on the first part of Israel, which was Joppa, and they took that. It was the seaport into Israel. It took them 4 more years to destroy Israel. The fight went on that long. But when they fell hard. It was burned down and everything. But it was another 3 years to this point. Now, why is this significant? The people who were on the mountain or Masada were the stronghold. They fought for another 3 years. And at the end, there was 900 and something people or bodies left. But the Cherokee Native American came out a short time ago and said, we know our history, and we now want to proclaim before the world that we are the descendants of those who escaped from Masada, crossed over Asia, Alaska, the Bering Straits, and came in. These are people who we know today as Inuits.
Cherokee.
There's another word that they don't like to be called, which is, and I'll say it just for us to know the connection, Eskimos. I have been in service with them. As we do this, well, we came from different cultures and we had a talk and our likes and dislikes, and we were apologizing. Everybody was broke down and crying, and the whites were apologizing to the blacks, and the Inuits apologized. Well, they actually got on the floor, and this was powerful. And he said that we know who we are, and we want to say to our black brothers, and this was actually a white congregation, Hebrew, of who we came in with, and said, we want to say to our black brothers, and we were it, my family, that we are known as the gatekeepers of the land.
Mm-hmm.
We were the port
Mm-hmm.
of which all else came in.
Right.
And when in our tradition it is, when a people come, that we welcome them. And by the way, you have never come to this land of your own accord. You came on slave ships, and you were never welcomed. And today we want to extend our hand
And they welcomed us.
as the gatekeepers of the Americas
That was sweet.
and welcome you to this land.
That was a sweet thing.
Oh, I can tell you, we were all messed up.
Yeah, pretty much.
But this is what's happening now. This is what's going on. We are reaching out to each other from every tongue, every culture.
Amen.
So they know their history, that they were a part of this, those who escaped. And you can see here from the time that they have populated, from this point in history, for over 1,000 years, they have populated all the way down into South America. And this is where you have the different Latino cultures who actually are part of that. If you look at Chinese, Latino, Inuits, you can see there's a relationship there. There is a genome there. So this is some of the stuff that I've learned from my studies, but speaking to them, this is some of the things that I've learned. So, but they were not good for hard labor. They were dying out. They chose to commit suicide. There was so much going on that they said, you know what, our profits are going down. We need something that's a little stronger. So they opted for native or blacks, Africans, who are more durable and able to take much more. So there's another prophet or marketing that said, hey, there's the place.
Curse of the tree. Regularly, Spanish soldiers carried out punitive expenditures. Expeditions, captured runaways were severely punished. As a warning, many natives were hanged. Escapees often preferred mass suicide rather than being captured again. Hispophilia, now Haiti, the number of natives decreased in less than 25 years from more than 1 million to hardly 11,000. In spite of a constant supply of new native slaves from the other Caribbean islands, about 200,000 of the Arawakan who were carried off from the coastal region of South America and the Caribbean islands died between 1492 and 1510.
So what we have now